June 3rd of 2011. Conservative in my mind alludes to or denotes or epitomizes the belief in the ideas and in the political concepts of the United States Constitution as it was written by the Founding Fathers. This means that in order to amend the Constitution, the means are provided and must be followed, because it's a law, with as small amount as possible of change to the entirety and the originality and the integrity to the whole of the document itself. The conservative philosophy, as it were, is towards a smaller government, decentralized from Washington and deferred to the 50 states themselves. The Republican philosophy is towards a strong, superior military, protecting not only the United States but also its interests abroad. People on the right and the left call that imposing democracy, forcing democracy on them. We're not allowed to force it on anybody else. We're just allowed to force democracy on the American people. Yes, we're forcing democracy on Americans because the Constitution doesn't say a single word about democracy. The Constitution is the laws of a federal representative republic, where you elect your representatives and they do the rest. And if you don't like it, vote them out on the next go-round. Not where, they're supposed to stick their finger up in the wind and see how many more people like this thing than that thing, and go according with that. What do we need the representative for if that's all they're going to do? Naturally, the representative is able to say what he believes is the majority view, or what he wants to make you believe is the majority rule. Well, 51% of the people say that 49% should get a hot poker stuck up their ass, so that's what I believe. That's democracy. It is this suspicion of the Republican desire for strong military that gives rise to the perception that Republicans are in bed with large corporations. And, well, Republicans are pro-business, big business, small business, individual enterprise, free markets. If that equates to big corporations, okay, whatever. That Democrats are at least as in bed with corporations as Republicans are. Just look at General Electric and General Motors in the Obama administration. His highest financial advisor is the CEO of GE. His labor unions coming in there damn near every day for lunch. Richard Trumka and Andy Stern, the union bosses, the biggest unions in America, with verily the whole world. The problem is, both parties in bed with big corporations, okay? The Democrats charge them a little extra for their favor, however, as they seek to make corporations the scapegoats for all the problems in America that have been caused by themselves, the politicians, and of other peoples around the world, because America is exploiting, by means of their large corporations, the resources of the entire third world and stealing it from those people. Okay. The Democrats tend to, trot out some corporate executives in front of the cameras and microphones up on Capitol Hill for honest to goodness, tongue lashing. So it looks like the politician is doing something about the plight of the average citizen. Schumer and who the hell else, Maxine Waters, a bunch of other ones, rip up big corporate executives and ask them, why should we continue to give the $4 billion a year subsidies to you oil companies? Not really a subsidy at all. The thing is that in the minds of Democrats, all money belongs to them. And it's only a question of how much they allow you to have, see. They could say that because they taxed you $4 instead of $5, that the U.S. government and the people, the American people, gave you a subsidy of $1. That's how they play word games. And nobody takes them to task on it, not even the Republicans, because they're a bunch of wimps. It's the nicest word I could come up with. Some worse ones in mind, but never mind that. Yes, meanwhile, while the Democrats on Capitol Hill are making the big oil executives feel about this tall, or trying to make America, who's watching TV at that time, hate big oil and hate industry and hate corporations and hate capitalism in general. The Omen comes on TV with his Saturday morning broadcast and says that, oh, I think we ought to start drilling in the Alaska, which we voted 10 years ago, just before the whole World Trade Center incident, 9/11. During the summer of 2001, Congress voted down drilling in Anwar. One of their reasons for doing so was that, well, it'll take 8 or 9 years to get a drop of oil out of the ground. Well, now it's 10 years later. You're worried about the price of oil now? Imagine if we would have had that. That would be up and running now, wouldn't it? So the Omen, who hates big oil and hates big corporations and hates capitalism in general, can look like he cares by saying that we should contemplate drilling in Alaska, because he knows that nothing's going to happen for another 8 or 9 years. Total phony thing to say, but he looks like he cares. He always manages to look like good cop in around a bunch of bad cops. See? Now, going back to the the size of government. Republicans, they say they prefer to have a smaller government, but they've helped build it as big as it is now, right? And in order to have a smaller government, there has to be a larger presence of Republicans, doesn't there? To make sure that it stays small. So it's difficult to maintain this larger presence in the government when a large majority, a great majority of the media is biased against Republicans, always making the big story about how Republicans are in bed with corporations, how Republicans always warn about the ineptness, always warn that government can't do anything right, and then, they go and win an election and prove that government can't do anything right. Well, be that as it may, most of the policies of George W. Bush, the worst president ever, labeled as such by, countless liberals in the media. His policies, most of them, have been kept in place by the one, yes, the 44th, our Messiah, peace be upon him, has kept the same policies in place, all the important ones that George Bush did. Okay, so some of that may have been premeditated, wouldn't you think? Which means that he lied to you to get elected. Oh, I know, they all do that, don't they? Bush lied. Oh, yeah, the WMD, that's right. And the selection, not the election, right? We'll deal with that some other time. Of course, you don't care that Clinton lied, because Clinton lied and nobody died, and, Obama lies every day so much that it just doesn't matter, and it's, he's so historic that we've got to let him get away with a few things, and do what he needs to do in order to make things fair. However inept that this party wants that party to appear, the fact remains that there exists in place a megalithic bureaucracy that was around and built by the both of them, with a structure that continues to grow and spread its roots, which are made of regulations. Regulate the roots of regulations and their feelers. The regulators. The regulators are the feelers, see, and the roots of the regulations. And they're growing deeper and spreading, just like the canopy of the tree itself, right? The tree of administration involves more and more branches, roots. Okay, I think you get it. Maybe I didn't get it, so I had to explain it to myself. Anyway, everything is expanding ever outward. The government, this tree I'm talking about, which what it feeds upon is power and money. This bureaucracy is attached to the executive branch, the president, and this particular branch has been designed by the progressives, who really just want an authoritarian dictator, like Mussolini. I know you don't believe that. The progressives are seeking to take power away from the Congress, extract it from the Congress and concentrate it in the executive branch, because that way they can get things done faster. And the Congress, theoretically, that's the part of government that is me and you, supposedly. That's why you have the House of Representatives, elected by the people, and the Senate, which used to be appointed by the states. The progressives have is that a word? have been seeking over the last century or more, since Theodore Roosevelt thereabouts, to usurp this power from the Congress, the people, and concentrate it in the executive branch, right behind the president, underneath the president, around the president. If they can achieve that, then a Democrat strategy is to blame the Republicans for every shortcoming of the government and say that they need more power so they can more effectively run the government, you see. Because the Republicans just proved the government doesn't work, right? So now they need more power, the Democrats, so that they can do a better job. And to promote everything to everybody. And when, you know, like, you need this, you need that, you need the other, we're going to give it to you. And when everybody doesn't get everything, which isn't really the intent of the Democrats, the healthcare bill is really not about healthcare. It's a power grab. So when you don't get that healthcare that they told you that you'd be getting, then the Democrats will say that they need even more oversight, even more regulations, even more power and authorities. That's how they're such brilliant politicians. They just want it more than the Republicans. The Republicans want to go golfing and let the people do what they want. And that is how the Democrats make it look like, oh, they don't care about you, the little guy. We do. That's why we're taking over. So anything it takes, whatever it takes, that's what we're going to do to be in charge. If that means overriding the Constitution and your rights, you didn't hear that, did you? But that's what we're going to do, us Democrats. When Democrats tell us that the Republicans are doing something that is corrupt, like cheating, rigging elections, it's simply because they're already doing it themselves. That's why they came up with the idea, because they've been doing it. And to a much greater degree than they accuse the Republicans of doing it, to a much greater degree. And I know what you're going to say. Both parties are guilty of this. They're both no good. They're both out for themselves. But wait, like I said, the Republicans, like you say, like they say, they're inept and they're weak and they're shitty politicians, right? I mean, they're pretty much incapable of such devious, Machiavellian, dirty tricks. And in most cases, they're not interested in using such means to achieve the ends. They're just not. So it makes them appear naive, in large part, that they believe that the Democrats are good people and they're being as open and honest with them as they're trying to be with the Democrats. Maybe Republicans just want to give Democrats benefit of the doubt, because they are in hope that the same courtesy would be extended to them. That's usually the moment before they are called corrupt power brokers, who seek to grant favors to their corporate cronies, yes. And, Republicans love to start wars, so they can guarantee work for them and you, and for their cronies, building ships and planes and trains and automobiles and big guns and small guns and other war machinery that they can, pollute the environment willy-nilly and left and right and wantonly, disrupting the fragile ecosystems of all the citizens of the world. And they seek to exterminate all dissent in their wild quest for oil. Like George W. Bush was elected, not elected. The 9/11 was an inside job. George Bush and the other right-wingers used the Constitution to wipe their asses. You've heard that. You probably believe that. And to support that claim, of course, you're going to refer to the Patriot Act. You call it warrantless wiretapping. And there are no provisions that say for anything about warrantless wiretapping in the Patriot Act. There is, however, the proviso that allows a phone number that has been already found to belong to a known Muslim terrorist operating abroad, his personal phone number, to eavesdrop on somebody in the United States that talks to them on the phone. They can listen to that conversation without a warrant to determine its pertinence to national security. I don't know what's wrong with that. This was loudly decried by Obama when he was running for president, and now that the shoe is on the other foot, he's determined that the Patriot Act might not be so terrible after all. Yeah. And he's decided not to kill it. Just like he decided not to kill the tax cuts. Just like he decided not to close Guantanamo and other Bush policies that he's kept in place. What a guy.